My husband said he wasn't doing anything for my birthday, because we're saving money. That same day I saw the receipt for the watch he bought his best female friend. $1,800. I made no comment. The next day he begged me, don't leave. My birthday fell on a Thursday. I wasn't expecting diamonds or a trip to Greece. I just thought maybe the man I paid to live in my apartment would do something, anything, to show I mattered. Instead, over breakfast he told me flat out he wasn't doing anything for my birthday. We're saving money, he said without looking up from his phone. I nodded. I didn't flinch. I was paying rent, utilities, groceries, our Netflix, his Xbox Live subscription, and handing him $1,000 a month so he could figure things out. He hadn't worked in a year. That same afternoon I came home to grab my work badge and saw a receipt on the kitchen counter. I wasn't snooping. It was right there. $1,800 for a watch. Shipping address? His best friend, Evan. The guy who calls me his sugar wife, when he thinks I can't hear him. I stood there for a full minute staring at it like it was a joke. It wasn't. That night he was on the couch, yelling at Evan through his headset while I sat quietly on the bed, replaying his words that morning. We're saving money. Apparently I'm the only one doing the saving. He spent $1,800 on a man who can't remember my name but couldn't be bothered to buy me a cupcake. I didn't say a word. The next day he noticed. He hovered around me like a guilty kid. Asked if I was mad. I smiled and told him no, not at all. I told him he was right. We're saving money. And he looked so relieved, like he got away with it. Like I was that stupid. That night I didn't come home. I went to a hotel. No text. No call. When I walked in the next morning he was a wreck. He was shaking, begging me not to leave him. I said nothing. Just walked past him like he wasn't even there. He didn't know it yet, but his free ride was over. I was about to pull the rug out from under him and he was going to hit every corner of reality on his way down. He didn't notice the first week. That's the thing about people like him. They're so used to being carried they don't realize when you start letting go. I stopped sending the $1,000. He waited like it was on some sacred schedule. I watched him refresh his banking app over my shoulder more than once. I said nothing. I made breakfast, packed my lunch, left early for work. The silence must have felt like poison to him. I wanted him to sit in it. By the second week he asked. Casually, like he was joking. I told him I had some unexpected expenses. That things were tight. After all, we're saving. He nodded like he understood, but his eyes were scanning, calculating. The man had no clue how to survive without me. Then I let the rent drop. Paid my half, nothing more. He didn't say a word for 3 days, just sulked around the apartment like a ghost. When the landlord texted him, he threw his phone on the couch and finally snapped. Asked if I expected him to pay. I looked him in the eye and said, I expected you to care. The fight started there. Not loud ones. Just quiet, bitter conversations where nothing got fixed. He asked if I was seeing someone. I laughed. He asked if I was punishing him. I said I was simply waking up. The food changed too. No more fancy cheese, no imported beer, no DoorDash orders showing up like magic. He started eating ramen like in college. The man who used to criticize my cooking was now begging me to split a frozen pizza. The car was next. My car. He used to brag about it to his friends like it was his, even posted selfies in it. I took the keys one morning and didn't bring it back. He asked where I parked it. I told him it wasn't his concern. The next day I drove it straight to my office garage and left it there. He walked to get his energy drinks and cigarettes. I let him. Watching him huff back into the apartment sweating was like therapy. One night he tried to seduce me, like that was the currency he still had left. I pushed him off gently and told him I was sleeping on the couch. The man didn't touch me for weeks before my birthday, but now when the money stopped he remembered I existed. He knew something was coming. He started cleaning, doing laundry. He even made the bed one morning. I let him sweat. Then I dropped the bomb. Told him I needed space. Said I was staying with a friend for a few days. He begged. Said he'd change. I said I wasn't asking permission. He tried to follow me out. I shut the door in his face. The next morning I sent an email to the landlord and had him removed from the lease. I paid through the next month, changed all my passwords and scheduled a locksmith for the same day I picked up the last of my things. He was still asleep when I came in. Didn't even wake up when I packed. I took everything I paid for. Left his Xbox and a pair of old socks. Told the landlord to give him 24 hours. He called me 12 times that night. I didn't answer. He played it cool at first. Told people I was having a breakdown. That I needed space to find myself. He painted it like he'd let me go, like he was the mature one. I said nothing. I wanted him to keep talking. The more he talked, the more ridiculous he sounded. A week after I moved out, he posted a photo of himself in my car, still pretending it was his. He tagged a restaurant I used to take him to, captioned it something like, "New Chapter Energy." I almost choked on my coffee. That same day he texted me from a new number asking if I could send $80 so he could get groceries. I didn't even block the number. I just left him on read. 2 weeks later he posted a screenshot of a Cash App balance, $2.17. The caption said, "When you give everything to people who just leave." I laughed so hard I had to sit down. He hadn't given anything but headaches. Then came the watch. It arrived late, a week after I'd left. I saw the package sitting outside our old apartment when I went back for the last few things. His name was on it, but my address. It was the same one from the $1,800 receipt. I stood there for a moment staring at the box. I could have tossed it, could have returned it, but I didn't. I took it home, opened it, and stared at it for a while. It was nicer than anything he ever bought me. Nicer than anything he could afford. I listed it online and it sold in 24 hours. The buyer messaged me to say it was for his anniversary. I smiled. That felt fitting. I used the money for a weekend in Santa Barbara. Spa hotel, no phone. No trace of him. It felt like detox. I even deleted the old photos of us from my phone while watching the sunset. 3 weeks after that, I got an email from him. Not even a real message, just a shared Google Doc titled, "Can we talk?" I didn't open it. I deleted it and reported the address. But he kept trying. More numbers. More desperation. By the 5th week the tone had changed. He wasn't pretending anymore. He was begging. "Please, just $100 until I figure things out. I swear I'll pay you back. You know I'm struggling." The man who once said he didn't want kids because he wasn't ready to be responsible couldn't even keep a prepaid phone active. Then he made one last move. He left a voicemail. I hadn't heard his voice in over a month. He said he missed me. Said he made mistakes. Then, and I'll never forget this, he said he was ready to be the man I always needed him to be. I replayed it twice. Then I called my mechanic. The car he'd been using was still in my name and technically he never returned it. I tracked it with an old GPS app I'd forgotten about. Found it parked outside a friend's house. I had it towed that night. He tried calling me from someone else's phone while watching it get hauled away. I didn't answer. Just watched the location disappear from my screen. That was the last time he reached out. The man who once thought I was his fallback plan now doesn't even have my number. The silence I gave him was louder than any revenge post. And the best part? He has no idea what's coming next. Because what he doesn't know is I kept receipts too. And one day if he ever crawls back into a new relationship trying the same act, I'll be ready. Not out of spite, but because someone like him doesn't change. And someone like me? I don't forget. I honestly thought that was the end of it. I had moved out, reclaimed my car, sold the watch, blocked every number he could possibly use, and had peace for the first time in years. Then I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Normally I wouldn't have answered, but it was a local area code and something in me just picked up. It was his mother. We'd only met twice. She always treated me like I was beneath her son, like I was lucky to be with him. But this time her voice was different. She was nervous. She said he'd told her I'd cut him off for no reason, that I'd ruined him financially and was refusing to help. She asked if I could just talk to him, even suggested I loan him some money, just until he gets back on his feet. I almost laughed. Instead, I told her I wasn't his wife anymore, and if she was so worried about him, she could cash out her own retirement. Then I hung up. That should have been the last straw, but it got worse. A week later, I got a DM from a girl. Someone I didn't know. She said she'd been dating him for about a month and had just found some of my things in his phone. Screenshots of our bank transactions, photos of the watch I sold, even a copy of the lease I paid on. She said he told her I was a crazy ex who left him homeless after cheating on him. She said she didn't believe it anymore. He'd been using her car, her money, even staying at her apartment. I told her to check the title on the car. It wasn't in his name, just like mine hadn't been. I warned her plainly. She didn't reply after that. I figured she needed time. 2 days later she messaged again. Said she kicked him out. Said he threatened to report her car stolen. I gave her the name of my lawyer. He still hadn't changed. He just switched host. I never responded to him again, but every now and then I check. Just to make sure he's still blocked. I don't need to hear what new scam he's pulling. I just want to know he's not crawling anywhere near my world again. People like him always find someone else to drain. But eventually that well dries up too. And when it does, he'll look around and realize that the one person who really kept him afloat was the one he lied to, stole from, and used until there was nothing left. The difference now? I'm not angry anymore. Just finished. It had been months since I left him, and by then, the silence had turned into distance. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't anything. I had my car, my space, my peace. He was just a memory of a mistake I'd finally outgrown. But life doesn't let you erase things that easily. It started with a message request from someone I didn't recognize. A woman. She said she worked at a local pawn shop. Apparently my name had come up. I ignored it at first. Then she messaged again and said, "I think someone's using your identity." So I called the shop. She asked if I knew a man named Ryan. My ex. Of course I did. She said he came in trying to pawn a camera and some tools, claimed he was married and that the items belonged to his wife. He even gave her my old driver's license, the one I lost 2 years ago and replaced. She said something about the story not adding up, about how he got weird when she asked for a signature. That's when she looked me up and found my contact info through the address still listed on the license. He was using my name to sell things. I filed a police report the same day. I didn't know if anything would come of it, but I wasn't about to let him screw up my credit or worse, tie me to something illegal. He must have found the old license in a drawer when I moved out. The next week I got a call from my bank's fraud department. Someone tried to open a credit card using my info. The address was different but everything else matched. They flagged it and froze the attempt, but I still had to change everything. Passwords, pins, even the answers to my security questions. He was digging back through the past, desperate and sloppy. I stayed calm, but I was boiling inside. Then I did something I hadn't done since I left. I unblocked one of his old numbers, just to see if he'd try again. Within 2 hours I got a text. "I know you're mad. I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to hurt you. I just need help." That was the first time he admitted anything. But I wasn't interested in hearing apologies. I replied once. "I filed the report. Try again and you'll deal with more than just a blocked number." No response. Nothing for weeks. Then out of nowhere I get an email from a girl. Not the one from before, a different one. She said she'd just broken up with him after finding a box full of my things. Old notes I wrote, a photo of us, the envelope from the birthday card I had given him 2 years ago. The one he said he'd lost. He was still holding on to it like a trophy. She said she thought he was harmless at first. She met him at a bookstore of all places. Said he was charming, thoughtful. Said he was getting back on his feet after a toxic divorce. That he used to be married to a cold woman who cared more about money than love. He said I cheated on him. That I stole from him. That I ruined his life and walked out when he hit rock bottom. She only found the truth when she Googled me. Found a comment I'd left on a Reddit thread about financial abuse. She said the details were too specific to be coincidence. He thanked me. Said she'd gotten out just in time. But here's where it got really unexpected. 2 months later I ran into his cousin at a wedding. A woman I always liked. She pulled me aside, said she didn't want to cause drama, but felt I should know. Ryan had tried to get a job at her husband's company, using me as a fake reference. He had printed out a resume with a fake email address he claimed was mine, and was emailing from it pretending to be me. She only figured it out because the reference email used words I would never say, and because I signed my name wrong. He forged a fake version of me. That was it. I sent everything I had to a lawyer. The pawn shop, the ID, the email, the attempted credit card, the forged reference. I wasn't playing anymore. He's under investigation now. Last I heard he left town. Probably looking for his next target, his next couch, his next story to spin about the evil ex who abandoned him. But this time there's a trail behind him. Thick one. And someone's finally paying attention. I didn't get revenge the way I thought I would. I just held the mirror up and let him destroy himself trying to run from what he saw. Turns out, the harshest revenge is letting a person like him live long enough to see who they really are. And making sure the world sees it too. The silence that followed was different this time. It wasn't empty, it was full. Full of space that used to be taken up by his voice, his excuses, his weight on my life. It felt like recovery. I moved again, farther this time, to a city where no one knew my name, where no one had heard his stories. I found a small place near the coast, high ceilings, quiet neighbors, not a single memory attached to the walls. For the first time in years I didn't flinch every time my phone buzzed. I didn't worry about what version of me someone else was being told. He didn't just lie to people. He rewrote me. Bent my life into whatever villain story he needed to justify being the victim. That's what scared me most. Not that he used me, but that he truly believed he hadn't. Then came the voicemail. It was nearly midnight and I was up reading when the notification lit up. No name. Just a number I didn't recognize. I stared at it for a second, debating. I didn't want to hear his voice again. But something told me to listen. He sounded wrecked. Defeated but still performing. Like he knew the curtain had dropped, but he was still trying to bow. He said he knew I turned everyone against him. That I made him look like a monster. Said I won. Then just before the end his voice cracked and he whispered, "You were always right. I just didn't know how to live without you." I deleted it. Not because it didn't affect me, it did. But because I didn't want it living in my phone like he used to live in my life. Lingering, haunting, uninvited. A week later, I got a message from a woman I didn't know. She said she found my name on a piece of mail that had been stuffed in a drawer at her place. He'd been living with her for a few months. Told her the same story. Ex-wife took everything, ruined his reputation, left him with nothing. She said at first she believed him. He was charming, sweet, broken in a beautiful way, she wrote. But then she noticed things going missing. Her jewelry, her spare credit card, her laptop. He said he sold the laptop for emergency rent. He started digging. She found my name, Googled it, found the thread I left months ago warning women like her. She left him that night. Sent me the address. I passed it to my lawyer. I didn't need revenge anymore, but I wasn't going to let him start again, not without a warning. 2 months later she followed up. Said he was couch hopping. No car. No job. No new girl. Just a few followers on a sad podcast he launched, where he talked about narcissists and false accusations, and how women abandon good men when it's inconvenient. I didn't listen. But I heard from someone who did. Apparently in one episode he described a cold wife who wouldn't let him grow, who held money over his head, and never supported his dreams. He met me. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because even in failure he needed a villain. He couldn't just say he lost everything. He had to blame someone for handing him the knife he used to cut the cord. And in a strange way it made it easier. Because that kind of delusion isn't something you fight. You just leave it behind. Let it rot where it belongs. As for me, I live better now. I travel. I work remotely. I write, sometimes about the storm, sometimes just about the sky afterward. I met someone quiet, kind. He brings me coffee in bed and doesn't flinch when I double-check the locks before we sleep. He doesn't know the full story. Maybe he never will. Because now it's just a story. Not a wound. Not a memory I live in. Just something that happened once to someone I used to be. And every time I get a new message request I don't panic. I just block. I won the second I stopped needing to be understood by a man who never even saw me.